All right, Ahmed. Holy moly, man. What is this, week three?
Feels like week 70 infinity right now, but it's week
Feels
three.
feels like year three. Okay, so we're gonna talk about Elon today. We're gonna talk about Gaza today. But we're gonna talk about them in the context of what we've been talking about, which is kind of like how to look at these things um just in general, and then also through the lens of CP. But I'll start with that. So there was a protest yesterday. I think there were protests around the country. Shout out to Indivisible and Move On and Working Families Party. But there were protests that they helped organize around the country in response to what Elon Musk is doing, which is essentially this digital coup.
Yeah.
It's he's taken over huge swaths of the government, and he has control of things that no single and unelected individual has ever had. Um, and so they're protesting that, and it actually was a protest that ended up being a town hall with the staffers of the two senators in Washington State, Patty Murray.
That's cool.
Yeah. It was very cool. Patty Murray and oh my gosh, I keep forgetting her name because she's the non-functioning one to me. She's the one who's like she's making the wrong votes, man. I think she voted to confirm
Oh
some
yeah,
of the
the
cabinet members,
Democrats
man.
who are
I
the
know.
Democrats need to blanket.
I know. I know.
When you have Musk, it's also just going on so long. You have to put up a blanket block on every. You shouldn't be voting for any of these
Right,
nominees
right,
during this time, especially when the
right.
country is seeing organic, like it's the resistance is coming back. I don't know if I have the same name, but it's just the active resistance. People are just really pissed at what Elon is doing, agency by agency.
Yep, yep.
This guy
Yeah.
is gone.
Well, so what are you hearing about how this is being received? Because we all know it's terrible. So we don't have to talk about how terrible it is. It's really,
Of
really bad.
course.
But now it's been going on for days, and we can see the damage. We can see the access. He's got people sleeping in the buildings. One dude
Yeah.
moved his family into one of the areas, and he's living there.
Yeah.
But what do we see now is the ripple effects just from what he's doing within the Republican Party of the administration.
Yeah, so and just a level set, for those who don't know exactly what it's because it's kind of confusing. Number one, everyone's
Yeah,
kind of just confused because it's so much is
yeah.
going on. I wrote a whole article breaking down agency by agency what he's done thus far. It might be
Sorry,
outdated by
Maria
the
Cantwell. That just came to my mind.
Maria
Sorry.
Cantwell's the other senator.
She's the other senator, and for some reason, whenever I think about Washington state senators, I can only remember Patty Murray because Maria
Okay.
Cantwell is like this blank whiteboard to me, until she like votes the wrong way. Anyways, go ahead. Sorry about that.
No,
I'm
no,
gonna get shit for that from our
no, no,
people.
no, no worry. No, you had to make sure you got that out before we moved on to the next part. Yeah, because yeah, man, it's like this is a disorienting week, man. Like I when I was writing this article breaking it all down, it's so much. He's going at the GSA,
Hmm.
getting access there, Treasury Department, getting access to payment, payment systems. He's in OPM, the Office of Personnel Management, sending out these buyouts, trying to push out federal workers. And then he's
Yeah.
basically single-handedly,
Today's the deadline, right? Today's the
yeah,
deadline.
today's the
Thursday.
deadline,
Thursday the
Thursday,
6th.
single-handedly curtailing the USAID, getting, using that as a model. Next, they're looking at the education department. So he's
Hmm.
going from department to department, putting people on leave and just tearing it apart. But what we're seeing on the reaction is these organic protests, and a new poll dropped today that it's from The Economist and YouGov, and it says the share of Republicans who say they want Musk to have a lot of influence has fallen from 47% in November to
This is about
26%.
Republicans. Okay, from
26%
47 to
Republicans.
26.
According to this poll, it says Republicans, the share of Republicans that want Elon Musk to have a lot of influence in the Trump administration, it was 47. Now it is 26. It is
That's a
dropping
huge drop.
among Republicans. And meanwhile, nationally, his polling is decreasing from the 40s to the 30s. People forget there's a clash here. People don't
Hmm.
like oligarchs, and he's going beyond oligarch to straight up co-president. Putin
Yeah.
doesn't let his oligarchs have this much control, bro. Like, you
No,
don't
this isn't the way
understand.
you
Like,
do it.
this is
I know.
unprecedented.
I bet Putin's looking at Trump and he's like, ah, this idiot. This is not the way you do it. You
Exactly.
now you have to kill him. He's like,
No. Yeah, that's how Putin. That's where Putin's mind is. And yeah, Putin's like just thinking he would never let his oligarchs go
never.
that far.
No.
They let them get rich. He might send them on some like diplomatic thing, but like this is co-presidency.
Yeah, he's got control. He's got real control, and he's got control in a way that Trump doesn't understand. I think that he talked to
He's
Trump
smarter
about
than
what
Trump.
to do. 100% he is, but I think that Trump doesn't even have a way to monitor, so he doesn't understand this. He can't monitor this, right? So I think the administration, they're learning from either the insiders who are telling Trump what Musk is doing, or the news. Like I think he's literally watching the news, being like, he's doing what? Wait, where is he? Because Elon's not like sending him updates.
Yeah, I mean, like I think they talk and I think Trump does approve of what Musk is doing broadly,
Hmm.
but the details and the nitty-gritty,
Right.
as we're seeing in the reporting, they're not, he's not getting approval before he does every little thing. He's more
No.
doing things, and then the Trump administration now apparently barred. Um, they're trying to say that they only gave him read access. Like they're kind of responding and reacting to Musk as he moves through. So he is acting with a lot of autonomy. And now there's reporting. Wired dropped a story that said that people in the Trump admin are they're feeling some type of way. It's like half a dozen officials told Wired that they don't like that Musk. They think
Okay.
he's going too far. He's getting ahead of
Okay.
his.
So okay, real quick. Wired is not a place that we're used to going for political news. So Wired magazine, it used to be this gadget website. And we used to be a gadget magazine. I subscribed to it for a long time. And it was just about tech and devices and stuff. But they have risen with Silicon Valley as it has like come into our homes and become a part of our lives, the iPhone, the internet, social media. And I think we were talking before, is like their access to these people who you saw behind Trump on inauguration, um, that has brought them into politics.
Exactly. And we have all these engineers, all these people that were tapped into, that were sources for Wired are now in the White House and they're feeding
Okay.
them information. And the Trump admin now knows the Trump admin officials who aren't in Silicon Valley know to talk to Wired to get some
Okay.
of their points out. So they leak to Wired
Okay,
to
so
say
real
that
quick, real
Musk,
quick. People, this is another source for you. If this is definitely not on your radar when it comes to political
yeah,
political news. So add wired.com, I think is just the
yeah,
website. I think it's a paid thing now, but it's very inexpensive. It's
yeah.
it's worth it if you're going to get somebody, again, if you're going to get a trusted filter. They haven't been tainted by the kind of political structures. They're kind of outsiders. I'd say it's worth looking to them for updates here in the future.
Yeah, definitely. And they also, the first few articles are free, so you can browse it
Oh, okay. Okay,
and check
good,
it
good,
out.
good,
Yeah, you can check out
good.
some of the bigger stories. They've been breaking a lot of news on
Okay, yeah,
on everything that Doge is doing.
yeah, and Elon. Okay, okay. So they get the inside scoop on this, and they hear that the administration, folks in the administration, don't like the way that Elon's been moving.
Yeah, they didn't necessarily cite Trump himself. They think Trump broadly likes Musk, but they are saying the staffers are really thinking that Musk is becoming a problem and that he's
Okay.
getting too big for his, we'll see how long it lasts. Like these two big egos, the moment Trump thinks that he becomes a liability, Musk's polling is decreasing. Trump casts people aside the moment they become not useful to him. This is
Hmm.
more complicated with Musk, given Musk literally is the richest man in the world and bankrolled his campaign and all that. So there's different dynamics at play. If Musk wasn't the richest man in the world, I think he would have already been out by now. If it was
Yeah,
just some random aide, he would have been out.
yeah. He would have been
But
Vivek Ramaswamy.
yeah, yeah. But Trump is afraid of Twitter being turned against him, because Musk has a lot of leverage. If he wanted
Yeah.
to, he could turn, he could make that tech base MAGA rift, that Bannon and Musk are kind of like leading these two
Hmm.
sides of the coalition.
Yeah.
If Musk were to turn away from Trump, then it would cause a real rift.
Okay.
So
Well, at some point, he's got to realize that he's stuck. Trump. that he's the one who's stuck, and that because he's stuck, that Elon has all the power. But maybe he doesn't. Maybe he doesn't. Anyways, I won't pretend to know what's in Trump's head. Nobody should. That's how you go down some the toilet of politics.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, so but there's light there for us because if we know that they are not this machine that is moving forward, that is, operating at 100% and everybody knows what they're doing and they're plotting all these details together. If we know there's cracks there, if we know that they disagree with each other, there's friction points that eventually we're going to be able to wiggle in somewhere there. We're going to get to one of them. People are going to be able to influence somebody.
yeah.
Some folks are going to get pushed to an edge and want to opt out at some point, and maybe they'll begin to work against each other. I think that's a source of hope.
It is a source of hope. I think you're right. I think the fact that there are fractures in this grifter coalition, people they move with self-interest, and once their self-interest aren't aligned, it could crack. And
Yeah,
so I think those cracks are there. Also, these lawsuits, he's breaking a lot of laws right now. And I think one of these lawsuits are, there was one where they were in court this week talking about the Treasury access, and Trump's lawyers agreed that Doge would not have access to certain parts of the Treasury payment system. Obviously, we don't know whether they'll abide by that. But the point is, like, as more of these lawsuits
I think
rise to the
all that's
surface,
bullshit.
yeah, but as more of these, yeah, but yeah,
I have little faith in their fear of the law. I think they feel like they control enough federal judges in the Supreme Court that they could care less about lawsuits, really. And I think that this is it's so interesting because everything they're doing, they know they're breaking the law. I think they're daring people to come after them.
what they
And
want, yeah, go ahead, sorry.
well, I just think that they also are like, okay, so you ruled against me, so who's going to check and see what I'm doing? Who's going to come enforce this? And if you what you're going to sue me all the way up to the Supreme Court, or we're talking about months and years of litigation maybe before this gets to any result, and by the end of that I can get a pardon. And that's if you're anyone who's not Trump. If you're Trump, then none of it matters anyways. Like it's just the like when you play out the legal route far enough, it feels like it's nothing or it's too late.
Yeah, but I mean, I do think obviously that's the concern. If they go, because there are some indications that they do listen to some of the court hearings.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
they're still trying to operate within like they're obviously violating these laws because they wanted to make up to SCOTUS so that SCOTUS can green light it. But like the fact that Trump admin is even trying to say that they want to block certain things and they rescinded the funding freeze. There are obviously still concerns that some funds are still being frozen.
Hmm.
But at the moment, they're still within the constraints of what's going on. Like Musk isn't obviously, but they're showing some signs where I think they might abide by the court rulings. But that's the big test.
Okay.
If SCOTUS comes down and is like, no, Musk can't do this, and then Trump is like, well, fine, we'll do it anyway. That's when we're in crisis mode. But I honestly don't think Trump has the popular support. Like I've been doing a lot of reading and obviously there's not a comparison and I'm not being hyperbolic, but just the early days of the Nazi
Hmm.
Germany's rise and the
Hmm.
first few years of Hitler's power. He knew he had to get popularity first. They were obsessed with public opinion. And
Okay.
Trump is gonna be no different. Like there's only so much you can accomplish
Well,
as
see,
an unpopular authoritarian.
I think that's what we've seen when they've pulled back. I don't think
Exactly.
it's been because of legal challenges. I think it's been
Of
because
course, yeah.
they are hitting people's pocketbooks and people are saying, "What the hell, dude? I didn't vote for you for this reason." And it's hundreds of thousands, millions of people that are sending those flags up, right? So I
Yeah.
think that is the most powerful thing. It is his voters, his opinion, his viewers saying to him, "I don't like what you're doing." That's our most powerful thing. And this is why another hopeful data point here is like they're gonna undo themselves because they're harming their
Exactly.
own people, and Trump cares about how people feel about him.
Exactly. Trump deep down wants to be loved. Like Trump is filling some childhood need he didn't
Yeah,
get. Deep down, that's his bottom line, and that's honestly our best hope. JD Vance, for example, I don't think he has that. So if he was, I think he's more kind
didn't
of
have what love as a child or what?
no,
What?
oh no, I think he doesn't have the same weird obsession of being loved.
Was
I
he
don't think
had love as a child? Okay,
we
got it,
well,
got
no,
it,
no, no.
got
I
it.
don't think he had love as I know he had a rough childhood, like hillbilly elegy, man. Like, yeah, he was struggling. But I'm just saying he's not like
If it's true, no, go
he doesn't
ahead,
have
go
the
ahead.
same vulnerabilities as Trump.
Yes, right,
Trump,
right.
I think Trump is really wants to really be loved, and he also wants his base to love him too. I mean, base is all he has left that loves him. Everyone else hates his guts. But basically, um, I think also these policy things where you're talking about hurting their pocketbooks, the
Yeah.
tariffs. The second the markets drop, homeboy's like, all
Mm-hmm.
right, I'm backing out. I'm gonna
Yep.
agree to whatever they were already doing and call it a win with Canada and Mexico. But
Mm-hmm.
I think with these other things, the education department, I was talking about that the other day in an appearance, and basically they are the red states will be hurt the most if the
Yeah.
Department of Justice and Title I funding to low income schools goes away. So that's right there will impact them. All these other things like USAID, they targeted that first for a reason. They're
Mm-hmm.
using that as a model to tear down these other agencies, but they hit this one because Americans foreign aid isn't that popular
Right.
for their own base, right? But if you come for the education department and some people aren't getting funding for their lower
Yeah.
income schools,
This will be like cutting federal funding across the board. Yeah, it's just like that. Okay. All right. So that's Elon. We're gonna keep, I mean, we're gonna be living in Elon's America here for the next I just can't stand this dude. I really cannot stand him. So that's
yeah,
Elon.
yeah,
Let's talk about this Gaza thing. Let's
okay,
talk about Gaza. And this is another one where we don't need to explain how terrible this is. And in fact, this is even easier to just call it as complete bullshit.
yeah,
Um, what we're thinking about though are on these two fronts of, well, one, for me, I'm thinking about the voters. I'm thinking about the folks who, it's another demographic of people who are waking up to understanding that their vote for Donald Trump or not voting for Kamala is something that is now going to affect their lives in ways that they didn't think it would.
yeah,
So the first group was Latinos who voted for Trump. There's that viral clip of the Venezuelans at the press conference at the protest in
yeah,
Florida where they were like, Republican lawmakers came to us and told us that he wouldn't do this, and that's why we should vote for him, right? And so there's those folks who are like, okay, we made a mistake. We were fooled, whatever. Now I'm ready to start thinking about, how to write this, how to do better next time. And the same goes for folks who either didn't vote or voted for Trump, or voted for a third party, and them now thinking about their vote in a different way. I think that's instead of looking at his plans for Gaza and what he said and just living with the fury that exists there, I'm thinking about those people now who see in a way that we couldn't tell them that this guy is full of shit and is really terrible for them. I
yeah.
now I'm thinking about the future, about interacting with those voters.
That's a smart way to analyze it. That's the way to look at it because that's what we're seeing right now is this is because Trump targeted these people, right? And he tried to build out his coalition and he made promises to Muslims in
Hmm.
Dearborn and he made promises to, Latinos in Florida and then he broke those promises.
Hmm.
Now there's a message there for Democrats to say these are actual betrayals of your communities
Yeah.
that we now have. That didn't exist. The first term, Trump wasn't promising any, Trump was running on the Muslim ban and the immigration stuff,
Hmm.
but Trump made explicit promises to certain communities and even the black community as well. And then he immediately went in and showed that he was lying the whole time, which obviously all of us could see clearly. But for them to
Hmm.
see Trump went in, immediately targeted all civil rights stuff and economic opportunity stuff
Yeah.
for black people. He went
Yeah.
in, he's targeting nonviolent, undocumented immigrants right off the
Hmm.
bat, and he promised he would only go after criminals to this
Yeah.
community. And then now with Gaza, he pretended he wanted peace, and now he's suggesting something that I don't think a lot of people could even have imagined he would suggest that we would go in and do an Iraq-style occupation for decades, like whatever he suggested there,
And turn it
clean it
into a
out,
beachfront, turn it into a
turn into a
condos,
beachfront.
and
And
it's
using the
ridiculous.
word clean out. This is the
Yeah.
Jared Kushner
Oh
model.
yeah.
Clean out when there's allegations of ethnic cleansing. It's disgusting, right? So
Hmm.
right now he's betraying everyone that he thought expanded his coalition. And this is something that Democrats need to now take. and apply it to the Republican Party
Yeah.
ahead of the midterms. Promises made, promises, betrayed, he
Hmm.
betrayed these communities. Like that's what Democrats should bring.
Promises made. Look at you, man. You're making posters,
Slogans.
man. You're making slogans, dude. This is good. This is good. Well, there was one more take that you had on the Gaza situation, though, and that was about what you think about Trump's mind mind state, right? Like, because
Yeah.
he's sitting there and first of all, he's not riffing, okay? He's
Yeah.
reading this, okay? This is not like him just going off on the thing. He's reading this statement, and as he's reading it, you can see that Netanyahu's looking at him, and he's like, it's like he's like, whoa, like this is far.
Yeah.
Even though, like
It's
afterwards, he was like, yeah, I'm down for this. I'm
of
down. I
course.
like those aren't my
Like
words, but like he
he
brings
took
up some
that
good
he
points.
took that as America will help him obliterate
Right,
Gaza, is what
right.
Donahue took
He
it and
did.
said.
Right, right.
Because people they translate whatever Trump says to fit their own.
Yep.
And then you saw people in the right wing media immediately spinning it as, oh, it's just a starting point. These propagandist cultists. But
Hmm.
basically, I think, like, as someone who's literally documented every day of his first term, who literally this guy's lived in my head for so long, I was a little surprised too to see just, this is a part of him that he hasn't expressed that's been coming out recently. This is the same train with the Greenland stuff, with the
Yeah.
Panama stuff, this expansionist,
Yeah.
he thinks
Canada is a 51st state, right?
Canada's 55th, like it's this conqueror thing coming out in him that wasn't present before. I mean, it's always present in his business stuff, and he used to be constrained, but this is like a level of delusion he's reached, I think, post survival of the assassination attempt, and
Hmm.
after winning again, he literally thinks he's invincible. And I think he's peak unhinged and delusional, and he's unpredictable. And I think Americans should be prepared for him to do wild stuff, like
Yeah.
potentially, like this Gaza thing is insane, and it's probably not going to happen because it's, but he does have a lot of control over the military. So if he just
Hmm.
decided he wanted it to happen,
It could
you
happen.
know, it,
Yeah, yeah. I think that the addition to that is that normally you would see that kind of thing as a riff last term,
yes,
and now he's gotten people around him who will follow him down this like line of logic of illogic, and they'll
yeah,
like formalize it into statements and stuff and help him craft it so
yeah.
that and remind him to say it and all this stuff like
He was reading. You're right. He was
Greenland. He was
reading that
reading
off.
it.
He
So
was
there's
reading.
it's worse now because he's got people around him who will take his crazy delusions and turn them into formal policies. Okay, all right. So Gaza thing is, I know we can probably put that to bed for now. There's going to be something else crazy next week. Um, I think that the interesting thing on our side is that there's no debate about how that this is bad,
Yeah,
that all of us need to contact our elected officials, especially if you don't live in a blue state. If you've got someone like I do, it like Maria Cantwell in Washington State, who for some reason somebody said she's trying to be the Susan Collins of the Democratic
yeah,
Party, and that's fine. But you live in one of the bluest states in the country. It doesn't make any sense at all.
yeah, yeah.
Um, the saddest part is that we just reelected her, which is painful. But
Mm.
the elected officials are getting swamped.
Yeah,
They're getting swamped, and some of them are responding really well. Actually, shout out to some of the Dems that are doing these press conferences where they are speaking very clearly, where they are using more forceful language. You can see their personalities start to come out.
yeah,
They're like one of them was literally like, "This is bullshit," you know. And I had
yeah,
to look
yeah,
up this
yeah,
dude, and I was like, "Who is this guy who's
yeah.
cursing on live TV? You can do that." Um, that makes a difference right now. Us seeing them do that. I know Jasmine Crockett and I forget his name from Florida again, the Gen Zer from
Maxwell Frost. Yeah,
Maxwell Frost, the kid from Florida. I'm gonna keep saying that.
yeah,
They're just they're starting to fight back. I still think it's a little restrained. Like we are at the point now where this is crazy enough where we need to see some civil disobedience, like
yeah,
on some AOC sitting in front of Nancy Pelosi's office with protesters on her first week in off, right?
Yeah, yeah,
When she
yeah.
got to the Capitol. I need to see some shit
Yeah,
like
I mean,
that. I need
last
to
night
see.
they did a Russell they did I think they're doing a I don't know if it was last night or but they're doing a against Russell Vought an all night speech like where
Are
they
they
give
do it? They're
speeches.
doing the
They,
filibuster type
yeah, filibuster
thing.
type stuff on Russell Vought, like things like that, you know.
That's fine, but we already
But
got,
yeah, we need
Tulsi
more.
Gabbard and shit in
Yeah, we
there
already
and all
yeah,
like
so
we already got all
yeah,
these other
it's
people,
true.
man.
But yeah, you're right. I think they gotta be more
I mean,
inventive.
walk into somebody said, I forget what his, I think was it Kinzinger? He was like, you should do is go into the building where Musk people are and just like walk in there and break the door down and unplug all his whatever and
I mean, I mean, yeah, that might be a little wild, but you know, they might get arrested. But yeah, you're right. They
get
just
arrested.
protest. Yeah, get arrested. Also, you know, organize some protests at Tesla dealerships.
Yes, yes, yes.
You know, make that a
Organize.
thing.
I
Make that a
agree.
thing. Hit this man in his
His
pocketbook.
sales are stuff
His
suck
sales are
pretty
going to.
good.
I mean, even you know, hit the Tesla dealerships. Hit the um, you know, yeah, just hit the Tesla dealerships. Hit his man in his pocket. Like make it something that he notices. So that Musk, you know, because right now Musk feels totally unaccountable. But
Right. Yeah, their
Tesla
sales are
stock
going down.
price,
Their
like
sales in
there's
Germany have tanked like 30%,
oh,
something
I mean,
crazy like
you can't
that.
go there and tell them forget the Holocaust, you know, essentially, effectively is what I
Yeah,
say.
and do a Nazi salute. I
And
mean,
also, I
there's
want to say, I want to correct the record because last time I was like, you know, being, you know, I was a journalist. I was like, oh, we don't know whether or not it's a Nazi salute. It was a Nazi salute. All right. I'll say
oh,
it outright. I was trying to pussyfoot around it. It was a Nazi
it
salute.
was a
I'm just
Nazi
going to say
salute.
it. I don't care if you choose me for defamation. I'm not afraid of that guy. Nazi salute. It
No, it's good.
was.
Yeah, if you get sued for defamation, you'll rise in stature. Let me say, here's the thing. I just saw this. Somebody in Australia said this, and it's so interesting that like when you're this is like we're in the fucking Trump zone where like your reality changes. But the dude in Australia was like, one of their elected officials was like, if anybody was accused of doing a Nazi salute and they didn't, and they're like that kind of status in the world, they would refute it. They would say, I didn't do that. But he's never said
Yeah,
that.
yeah, you're right. He
He's
hasn't said it.
never said that it was not the Nazi salute and I apologize for whatever, or even just deny. He never denied. You have to apologize. He's never denied it. And that is this one data point you need to prove that it was actually a Nazi salute. Because
You're
his
right.
ass is like, yes, it's okay if you believe that.
You're right. And he feels unaccountable right now, and
Yes.
that's really the problem. And that's why Democrats need to do everything they can. I do think the court, when the court orders, if this is where I think the court stuff matters, because it's not just if they start denying the court orders openly, that'll also affect the public opinion. Because
Yeah.
Donald
Okay.
came in here and he moved too fast. I think if he moves, I would have been more worried, frankly, if he moved slower and smarter.
Okay.
Like I know that might, I don't know if
Because
people
it
are
was
worried.
it would have you would have been like, what is he doing behind the scenes? They're
I
planning
would have been
things,
like, oh,
or
I would have been like, oh, they're smart and they're actually
yeah,
trying to
yeah,
get
yeah.
it
But now
done.
they're just like reckless and they're falling over
Throwing the
themselves and
funding
they're
freeze out the way they did,
yeah.
you know,
Okay.
that wasn't a true like if you were methodical and smart about it, I'm not trying to give them any advice, but if you were smart about it, you would say you would have made it targeted, you would have made it and you would have made it an approach that could have made it up to SCOTUS to actually
Mhm.
challenge the constitutionality of the Impoundment Act of 1974. If you wanted to actually expand the powers of the executive, you would do that. But no, they're doing the flood the zone and they're being dumb and they're being incompetent and Musk is can't manage his emotions and he's a child, so he's running around here. He doesn't sleep. Like seriously, he doesn't sleep that much,
I know.
and he's losing his mind. He's having a historic crash out. People think he's all powerful, but I personally think we're in the midst of a historic crash out.
You
And
think he's
for
crashing out?
I think
Okay.
he's crashing out. I think
And he's
Homeboy
just
is
taking us all down with
absolutely.
him.
I think he's absolutely crashing out. And the Nazi salute, man, like
Oh yeah.
when we are out of when we're past this point
Oh yeah.
and he's like not doing this anymore and there's been something that has stopped him and we're gonna look back at this and be like, oh, that man crashed out.
Hmm.
Like he can't, it's not sustainable. He's no
Okay.
that he's gonna turn off everybody.
All right.
That's
Okay.
what
All
I
right. We'll
hope.
see what happens next week. I Who knows what's in store. Buckle up, everybody. Again, keep your information diet through filters, turn it off at some point. It
Mhm.
was really helpful for me to get out there and see people at the protest that turned into a town hall. Shout out to Patty Murray's staff because they are doing their thing. Patty Murray is doing great in Washington State. Yeah, get out there in the streets. Go stand with some folks at a protest. Get together with some people who are out there doing something. Don't just sit and read the news. That's terrible for you. Um,
Yeah. Well, I'm doing a lot of that, but it's my job.
no, you are the news. You're on the news, man. You're you're on the
Yeah.
news, okay? You're that's different. You gotta be the filter, okay?
I'll give you some tea. They're all freaked out about it too. Like one of the people, one of the audio guys at one of the shows was like, miking me up and stuff. And then afterwards, he like learned from my segment. He was like, they're coming after this department too. Like straight up, I'm not even kidding. Like everyone is freaked out. So like you're not alone. Everyone
Everybody's
acts all
freaked out.
calm on TV, but everybody's freaked out.
That's good, man. I think one of the great things about moments like these is that we're all living through the same moment together.
Yeah.
And there should be comfort in that unity.
Yeah.
And that's where should derive strength from. And I understand that some people have different opinions, but the reality is like we're seeing these impacts together. We're seeing
Yeah.
the immigration roundups together. We're seeing what
Yeah.
he says about Gaza together. Regardless of how you voted, we're all seeing him do this. So I think we're better for that. If we're going to go through something really tough as a country, then we should all be experiencing the same things.
And we're seeing it. Just one note on that. We're
Yeah,
seeing it. We're
yeah,
seeing it. It wasn't,
yeah,
if we were in the 1930s, 40s, they were hiding it. They,
yeah.
like the Germans, they tried frantically to hide what they were doing
Mm,
to the Jews, right? They did so much propaganda to prevent. We're seeing all of it clearly.
yeah,
Trump's literally they're so egomaniacal. He's like, yeah, we're sending migrants to Guantanamo Bay week 2, bruh.
yeah, yeah.
So we know what they're doing. We can see it, and that is honestly the biggest. Sunlight's the best disinfectant. So
That's right. That's right. Yep. Until we're all fooled by AI. Okay. All right, man. That's it for the week. We will be back. I think we're gonna try to do one on Monday or Tuesday, right? Because we're realizing that they do crazy, crazy things over the weekend. So
yeah,
stay tuned for more from us.
all right, fam. See y'all.
All right.